Hello, and welcome to another tutorial video for CSCI 2824, Discrete Structures. Now that we've learned more about rules of inference, we need to make a quick distinction between valid and sound arguments and cover logical fallacies. These are subjects that frequently trip students up. Let's begin with reviewing a valid argument. In a valid argument, the truth of premises doesn't matter. However, correct rules of inference must be used. So what does this look like? Suppose we're given the following premises. If 4 is greater than 2, then 4 squared is less than 2 squared. We're also given that 4 is greater than 2. We could use modus ponens to conclude that this means 4 squared is less than 2 squared. However, that seems a little wonky. We know that 4 squared is not less than 2 squared. However, we used a valid rule of inference. Well, the premise we're given was incorrect. So, while we've used the correct rule of inference, we come out with a wrong conclusion. This is still a valid argument, however. Even though the premises were false, we used the correct rule of inference. In a sound argument, on the other hand, the truth of the premises does matter. And again, correct rules of inference must be used. So we can change our above example around a little bit. Suppose we're given if 4 is greater than 2, then 4 squared is greater than 2 squared. And similarly, 4 is greater than 2. Again, using modus ponens, we would conclude that 4 squared is greater than 2 squared. In this case, our premises were true, and we used the correct rule of inference. Therefore, this argument is sound. Now, let's cover some logical fallacies that you might run into when you're working with rules of inference. We've been given the above premise. If you travel to France, then you will eat pastries. The first fallacy you'll run into is affirming the conclusion. It looks like this. We say, if P then Q. We affirm the conclusion by saying Q, and then affirm the hypothesis by saying therefore P. In terms of our premise up here, we would confirm the conclusion that you are eating pastries, and say that this means you traveled to France. However, we know this isn't correct. You can eat pastries in places outside of France, which is why this is a fallacy. Another fallacy you might see is denying the hypothesis. It looks like this. We have if P then Q, and we say not P. Therefore, we conclude not Q. In terms of our premise, we would deny the hypothesis and say, you did not travel to France. Therefore, you aren't eating pastries. Again, however, this isn't true. Thankfully, we have pastries in plenty of places outside of France. In this case, an important truth comes to light. If a logical fallacy is used, either affirming the conclusion or denying the hypothesis, an argument is neither valid nor sound. Hopefully this quick review helps you better understand valid and sound arguments and logical fallacies. By understanding these intricacies of arguments, you'll be much better equipped to analyze them in the future. Thanks so much for watching.